Okay, so it's time to continue our journey into reviewing all the new gear available from the Demonwed Pits campaign, including the Masterwork gear, which I'm saving for last, which would make that around 130 gear additions in the module altogether. Like 130. Seriously, what the hell is going on? Why so much gear in just one module? Alright, cool it there, Galactic crotchless. This isn't a rant video. We'll save the ranting for last. Alright, time to roll it. Roll it. Welcome back, and here we go again with another review. This time around, I will be reviewing the new Bregan gear for each class, and here are some things to keep in mind before watching. 1. Everything is subject to change. 2. I'm not an expert in each class, but I do educate myself as much as possible by asking people who play those classes. My opinion on each gear is not set in stone. If I say something that seems good, it doesn't mean it will be in the end. The only thing that can determine if an item is good is actual testing. And these are just opinions based on previous bonuses, rolls, and how I translate the tooltips. And we all know that just because the tooltip says it works a specific way, doesn't mean that that is the case. Right, Cryptic? The hope is the review is on point as much as possible, but with no guarantees that it will be. Alrighty then, let's begin. First up, we have the Enchanted Bregan Caster's Hood, the Enchanted Bregan's Caster's Robe, the Enchanted Bregan's Caster's Mitts, and the Enchanted Bregan's Caster's Boots. I know it's called crack cows, but I think that's a little bit racist towards cows, so I'm just going to call them boots. This specific gear is only for wizards and warlocks, and they all have the same item level of 2050 and the same combined rating of 1845. The item level and the combined rating applies to all the gear in this video. The only thing that changes is the actual ratings and who the gear is for, and the equip bonuses, of course. Alright, so let's begin with the Enchanted Caster's Hood. This piece gives you 1538 accuracy, 923 critical strike, and 615 incoming healing. And the equip bonus is called Butcher's Frenzy. When you damage or heal your target for more than 10% of your maximum hit points in a single blow, your power is increased by 2% and movement speed increased by 1.5% for 10 seconds, and it can stack up to 5 times. This headpiece is useless for wizards and warlocks, and if this was available for other classes, it would be useless for them too. The reason it is useless is because the meta nowadays is raptor focused, meaning you're effectively trying to lower your overall power to around 70%. So when you are in groups that use the raptor companion, you are already capping your overall power to 90%. And outside of raptor, you could just cap your power with some of those new arms that came out to give you power. Raptor is just too powerful for this hood to even matter. And even if you want to use this in AoE for the movement speed buff, the Exalted Helm that gives you AP per kill is simply better to get your dailies faster, and warlocks and wizards both have some insane AoE dailies. The movement speed is a nice stat to have, but there are better pieces that exist for these two classes. Next, we have the Enchanted Caster's Robe. They give you 1538 combat advantage and critical severity, and this equip bonus is called Shielded Force. When you have a shield or temporary hit points, your ranged powers do 8% more damage. This is basically shit. We have much better bonuses for warlocks and wizards on a chest piece. Why bother using 8% damage when there's 12% damage and 15% stat pieces that exist anyway? So there's no reason to use this besides converting it to an appearance item for your appearance library. Next, we have the Enchanted Caster's Mitts. They give you 1538 critical strike and 615 defense with 923 deflect severity, and the equip bonus is called Magnified Force. You have a 20% chance to deal 300 additional magnitude damage to a single target when using ranged attacks, and this effect can only occur once every 20 seconds. Now this would require some testing, because the original version of this wasn't good at all, but it will depend on if they changed what affects the magnitude. 300 magnitude is effectively another mini encounter, and if it is affected by all your stats, then it could be nice, but I wouldn't recommend this due to already knowing how the normal Bregan works already. But to be fair, everything is still subject to change, so we'll see. Next, we have the Enchanted Caster Boots. They give you 1538 combat advantage and critical severity, and the equip bonus is called Discharged Force. When action points are less than 80%, your critical severity is increased by 7%. Now this one's an odd one, but I can safely say it's probably not that good anymore. Warlocks would use this just because there wasn't any other option, but we have the Wasteland Wanderers and the new Midnight Boots now, so I don't think anybody will be using this anymore. So yeah, just another appearance item. Next, we have the Enchanted Bregan Assassin's Hat, the Enchanted Bregan Assassin's Leathers, the Enchanted Bregan Assassin's Band, and the Enchanted Bregan Assassin's Long Boots, which can only be used by rogues, clerics, bards, and rangers. Let's begin with the Enchanted Hat. They give you 1538 critical strike and critical severity, and the bonus is called charged precision. When your stamina is over 75%, your accuracy is increased by 10%, and this, in my opinion, is a must-have headpiece to have in your arsenal. It's one of the top 2 options, and I would say it's about equal to the new Serene Hood, since even in Master Temple of the Spider, it's super easy to keep up around 10 stacks of Serene Hood without trial level buffs and debuffs. And by Serene Hood, I mean the new hood we covered in my previous gear review. And specifically, the Abyss Conqueror's Healing Guard is what I refer to as the new Serene Hood. I really like this helmet for running randoms, the Vault of Stars, and the Reaper's Challenge, and it's still great for endgame as well, so I would say they were about equal. In the end, it just depends on race, stats, and min-maxing, and it's still 100% worth getting. Personally, I'll be using this more than the Serene Hood, but that all depends on your build and your personal stat caps and what you're trying to achieve, but definitely a must-have. Next, we have the Enchanted Assassin's Leathers. They give you 1538 accuracy and combat advantage with the equip bonus called Liquid Luck. You gain 1.5% critical strike for each player in your team, and when moving, you gain 8% critical severity. This one's bonus seems a bit iffy to say the least. Like, what does when moving mean? In Neverwinter, moving is basically when you jump. Jumping is considered moving, and because of this, it could potentially work well for rangers, since they literally jump cast everything. On rogue or cleric, on the other hand, it's probably a bad idea. I mean, it can work on a rogue, but it would be super annoying. We will just have to test it out. But in my opinion, I think we have better options without any moving requirements added to them. Don't get me wrong, the 15.5% total is great. Just not a big fan of how the critical severity procs. Like I said, it could be good for ranger, but for rogue, bard, and cleric, probably a bad idea. Next, we have the Enchanted Assassin's Gloves. They give you 1538 accuracy, 923 critical strike, and 615 awareness, and the equip bonus is called Escalating Torrent. Gain 400 power for 10 seconds when you strike an enemy, and lose a stack when you are struck, and it stacks up to 20 times. This arm piece seems really good for non-raptor builds if you have issues capping your power. 20 stacks of 400 power is like 8,000 power in total, and it would be a very easy swap. Whenever you want to run normal content, just swap out the Mighty Vamp braces or whatever you are using for this, so you can make up for the lost power. This is also good on classes that can proc it quickly like the Rogue. Not sure I'd recommend this for a Bard, Ranger, or Cleric, but it is what it is. Next, we have the Enchanted Assassin's Boots. They give you 923 combat advantage, 1538 critical severity, and 615 defense, and the equip bonus is called Brute's Expertise. When you are 20 feet or closer to your target, your critical severity is increased by 7.5%. When you are 20 feet or further away from your target, your forte is increased by 7.5%. Now, these boots are one of the top 2 options along with the 5% combat advantage boots. This is the upgraded version of the previous Bregan boots that gave us 5% critical severity. This one gives us 7.5%. So much better. These boots also work very well with Mighty Cuirass builds or even with Bregan armor, but not with the Abyss armor because we would overcap crit severity far too much. These boots will even let rogues without mythic collars to cap on critical severity, because usually if you're using the Mighty Cuirass armor and the 5% critical severity boots, you're not capping until you have a mythic critical severity collar. In my personal opinion, these are the top 2 boots in the game. Next, we have the Enchanted Bregan Expert's Coif, the Enchanted Bregan's Expert Cloth, the Enchanted Bregan's Expert Gloves, and the Enchanted Bregan Expert Shoes, and these can only be used by warlocks and bards. The Enchanted Expert's Hood gives you 1538 critical strike and deflect severity, with the equip bonus called Mystic Inspiration. Your performance / Soul Weaver or Soul Spark maximum increases by 25%. This is a bonus that requires testing, as the base version of this gear has a precedence of being bugged, but based on the tooltip, it would not outweigh the Exalted Helm that gives you 20% resource regeneration. I can't say for sure, but for those without an Exalted Helm, it may be better to take more stats or something more useful instead. We'll know more when the experts at Bard and Warlocks test it out further. But until then, it is what it is. Next, we have the Enchanted Expert's Robe. They give you 1538 critical strike, 923 critical severity, and 615 critical avoidance, with the equip bonus called Menacing Aura. You gain an aura that decreases enemy defense, awareness, and critical avoidance by -5% for enemies standing within 10 feet of you, and multiple of the same aura does not stack. This to me looks like a best in slot item for a bard, and I think they can or would 100% use this. It doesn't stack with the previous 3.5% version either, which I'm sure players wish it did, but a warlock should have it handy in case a bard doesn't exist or doesn't have it, like in dungeon content or only one healer in the group, etc. Next, we have the Enchanted Expert Gloves. They give you 1538 defense and outgoing healing, and the equip bonus is called Medic's Regards. Whenever you are damaged for more than 10% of your maximum hit points in a single blow, your threat will be immediately reduced and you will gain 5% incoming healing, outgoing healing, and generate less threat for 10 seconds. And this has a cooldown of 20 seconds. I think this is one of the dumbest equip bonuses out there, especially for a Warlock or a Bard. Completely useless. I mean, wouldn't these two classes not want to be hit in the first place? And why would threat reduction even matter? I'm pretty sure these two classes would rather have a more useful bonus to help their groups with. Next, we have the Enchanted Expert's Boots. They give you 923 critical strike, 1538 critical severity, and 615 control resistance. The equip bonus is called Death Defying Medic. You gain 2000 outgoing healing for each enemy you are engaged in battle within 100 feet, and with a maximum of 10 targets. This item is okay, but not really needed because of how many ratings we already have in the game. And when stacked at 10, that's 20,000 outgoing healing, and it's more of an AoE focused item in the first place. That being said, I can see this used situationally if the Bard or Warlock doesn't have any outgoing healing companion gear, or doesn't want to use seals or mastercraft boots. Not bad, but it's not good either. It's just all up in the air. Next, we have the Enchanted Bregan Mauler's Mask, the Enchanted Bregan Mauler's Plate, the Enchanted Bregan Mauler's Gauntlets, and the Enchanted Bregan Mauler's Greaves. All these can only be used by a Barbarian or a Fighter. The Enchanted Mauler Mask gives you 1538 accuracy, 923 combat advantage, and 615 awareness, and the equip bonus is called Contender's Action. At the start of combat, your action point gain is increased by 25% for 10 seconds. This would only be potentially used for AoE AP builds, where you hop in and out of combat. The Exalted Helm already exists, which straight up gives 3% action point gain per kill. This works even if you touch the enemy instead of directly killing them. However, for those who don't have the Exalted Helm, the Bregan Helm can be used together with Chultan AP boots that gives the Exalted bonus, and simply for more AP gain. You know, get those dailies popping every other mob. Next, we have the Enchanted Mauler's Armor. They give you 1538 combat advantage and critical strike, and the equip bonus is called Reckless Advantage. Whenever you deal damage to an enemy, gain a stack of Reckless Advantage, increasing your combat advantage by 3%, but decreasing your critical avoidance by 1% for 5 seconds, and you can stack this 6 times. This is up to 18% combat advantage, which is huge, and this will likely be one of the best options on a Fighter and Barbarian DPS, and especially Barbarians because they have some issues with combat advantage before min-maxing the fuck out. And even if the debuff to the player's critical avoidance sounds like a major risk, somewhat like the sharp long boots, but it's actually not, since both classes have amazing defensive forte. Plus, it's only 6% critical avoidance, so who cares? Next, we have the Enchanted Mauler Gloves. They give you 1538 critical severity and incoming healing, with the equip bonus called Escalating Precision. Gain 400 accuracy for 10 seconds when you strike an enemy, and you lose a stack when you are struck, and it can stack up to 20 times. In general, we don't really need rating arms anymore. At this point, even a Barbarian can get cap power and accuracy rating for his over-penetration feat while using Mighty Vambraces, and I think Barbarians would prefer to be on Mighty Vambraces in the first place, since they have the most synergy with it. But for those who are not min-maxed out for cap ratings, this would be a decent option, especially for a Barbarian. Next, we have the Enchanted Mauler Boots. They give you 923 combat advantage, 1538 critical strike, and 615 deflect severity. The equip bonus is called Brute Smite, and it's absolutely horrible. When you are 25 feet or closer to your target, your power is increased by 6%. I'll just say this, these are utter booty meat. Horrible boots. We don't need power on boots, and 6% is pretty low if you ask me. Plus, we cap power easily with Raptors, so for now, this is useless. Next, we have the Enchanted Bregan Provoker's Helm, the Enchanted Bregan Provoker's Cuirass, the Enchanted Bregan Provoker's Bracers, and the Enchanted Provoker's Crushers. These 4 items can only be used by Paladins, Fighters, or Barbarians. First, we have the Enchanted Provoker's Helm. They give you 1538 defense and critical avoidance, and the equip bonus is called Fanged Vice. When you use an encounter power, the next enemy that attacks you takes damage equal to 5% of your maximum health, and it has a 10-second cooldown. Let me start by saying the Manticore's main bite is a large chunk of damage, which is amazing for tank aggro and artifact calls and a must-have. Typically, as of mod 25, this bonus is on your helm, also the rugged sallet from your dragon hunts. There are also rings with a Manticore Bane's Bite as well, even a new one coming with module 26. This Bregan's Helm's bonus, Fanged Vice, is in smaller chunks of damage that are larger over time, but the damage dealt all at once in artifact calls is much larger and better for threat. So if you have Manticore's main bite bonus on your ring, you can use the Enchanted Bregan Helm. If there are other rings you want to use instead, then stick to using the rugged sallet helm. Next, we have the Enchanted Provoker's Armor. They give you 1,538 combat advantage, 923 defense, and 615 deflection with the equip bonus called Fount of Power. When you receive a heal that puts you at 100% of your maximum hit points while in combat, you have a 20% chance to drop 5 orbs around you that can be collected by you or other members of your party to gain 15% action points over 8 seconds. And this can only occur once every 30 seconds. I mean, you can use this, but I don't think it's really all that useful as some console players hype it up to be. You'd much rather have a tank just surviving instead of running around picking up orbs. I mean, imagine orbs dropping before an artifact call. They definitely go to waste, and they don't even stack on a player either. It's just unreliable and kind of useless. It could be nice for some melee classes who can't have time on the target, but still, I think nobody will be using this long term, maybe just to test it out. Next, we have the Enchanted Provoker's Gloves. They give you 1,538 defense and incoming healing, with the equip bonus called Awareness Escalation. Gain 1,800 awareness for 10 seconds when struck by an enemy, and lose a stack when you strike, and it can stack up to 5 times. This, in my opinion, is just blah. I mean, tanks are always attacking, so they will be constantly losing stacks, so this is not so great. And you want awareness to be kept on its own without stacking. If this was critical avoidance instead, then this would be much more viable. But it's simply a lot of raiding, and we have so much already. And at that point, you would rather use the Abyss Arms we already talked about earlier in the Master Abyss Gear video with up to 10% power and awareness, and then cancel the negative movement speed by blocking. Next, we have the Enchanted Provoker's Boots. They give you 615 critical strike, 1,538 awareness, and 923 critical avoidance. The equip power is called Sudden Intuition. Whenever you are struck by combat advantage damage, you have a 20% chance to increase your awareness and deflect severity by 7% for 8 seconds, and it has a 15-second cooldown. Yeah, I think these are not good at all. Unstable stats to this extent is just bad. And the 20% chance of and the cooldown, yeah, just not good enough. Next, we have the Enchanted Bregan Priest's Guard, the Enchanted Bregan Priest Raiment, the Enchanted Bregan Priest Gloves, and the Enchanted Bregan Priest Solarettes. These 4 items are only for Paladins and Clerics. Let's start with the Enchanted Priest's Hood. They give you 1,538 accuracy and critical strike with the equip bonus Apothecary's Repel. When you use a daily power, you knock back all enemies within 20 feet away from you, and allies within 20 feet of you gain 1.5% critical severity for 10 seconds, and it has a 30-second cooldown. Personally, I think this piece is straight up dumb. Just use the turban instead. Pull stuff in and don't push them out. It's so annoying when things get pushed back. Not much else to say about this, just horrible. Next, we have the Enchanted Priest's Armor. They give you 615 critical strike, 1,538 critical severity, and 923 outgoing healing, with the equip bonus called Fount of Healing. Whenever you are damaged for more than 50% of your maximum hit points in a single blow, you drop 5 orbs around you that can be collected by you or other members of your party to heal for 15% of their maximum hit points over 8 seconds. Anyone who picks up an orb gains 2% Forte for 10 seconds and has a 20-second cooldown. This is just straight up bad. And again with the orbs. I just think for these 2 classes, there are way better options. Next, we have the Enchanted Priest's Gloves. They give you 1,538 critical severity and outgoing healing with the equip bonus called Healing Foci or Foci or whatever. When casting a single target heal on a target, gain 2% critical strike for 3 seconds with a max of 5 stacks. The target also receives 2% incoming healing for 3 seconds, also with a max stack of 5. I think these are also bad for the simple fact of the heal requirement and the duration of 3 seconds. It may also depend on how this actually works, because the game's definition of single target heals is very weird, but I'd probably just stick to something else like the Superior Arms or something. And last, we have the Enchanted Priest Boots. They give you 1,538 combat advantage, 923 critical strike, and 615 awareness, and the equip bonus is called Critical Step. When you shift, dodge, or block, you have a 10% chance of increasing your movement speed by 5% and your critical strike by 10,000 for 10 seconds. This can only occur once every 15 seconds. Alright, I'm not going to waste your time with this one. This is just bad. A 10% chance, and then it's only when you shift, dodge, or block for 5% movement speed and an insane amount of 10,000 critical strike, which you really won't need, and a cooldown of 15 seconds. It's not a reliable piece of gear in my opinion, so just use it as an appearance item. And there you have it, it, folks, all 24 Bregan gear pieces for all 9 classes and what my opinion is on each one. Of course, I could be proven wrong on some of it after testing, but nobody's perfect. But I'm pretty confident in my evaluation altogether. Let me know in the comments what you think of these gear pieces overall. And if you disagree or agree, doesn't really matter, let me know. I think some classes here have some decent gear options, but then again, others have complete garbage, but it is what it is. More reviews are incoming. Also, many more videos about the module, like what I like about the module, things I hate about the module, best gear, worst gear, and much more. Until then, like, share, and subscribe, and possibly become a channel member if you enjoy my content. And don't forget to comment below if you have any opinions, or if you agree or disagree with anything I said. It's all fair game. Anyways, see you soon. Galactic here. Peace out. Stay safe.